Baldur's Gate 3's patch 8 has made this item overpowered. The Glove of the Battlemage's power has been an item in the game since its launch. However, the special ability Battlemage's power was broken and didn't actually work. So when you hit a target with a spell or a cantrip that uses a weapon, you gain Arcane Acuity. What Arcane Acuity does is it gives you a +1 bonus to your spell attack rolls and spell save DC. It can be stacked up to 10 times. And what this does is, let's say you're trying to roll and land Hold Person. That has a spell save DC, and you can add up with +10 to it. Previously, we've had the Helmet of Arcane Acuity, which is a very powerful item. It's a light armor, so some characters can't wear it, but whenever you do a weapon attack, you gain Arcane Acuity for 2 turns. This is great because there's a lot of good helmets in the game. Gloves, there's only a few really nice ones, and you can get this actually really early in Act 2. So the Gloves of the Battlemage's power, what's interesting about it, when you hit a target with a spell or a cantrip that uses a weapon, there was no cantrip that used a weapon until we got ourselves Booming Blade, which can actually stack this up. In addition, Shadow Blade, which is a new spell added to the Warlock, the Sorcerer, and the Wizard, can actually proc this as well. Eldritch Knight and Arcane Trickster Rogues can also get the Shadow Blade spell, but we can upcast this, doing a ton of damage, and every single weapon attack that we do with Shadow Blade is going to trigger this. So when we summon in our trusty Shadow Blade there, which looks very cool, if we go ahead with an attack, we can proc this. So I'll just do a regular attack here just to first show it off. So we got ourselves 2 turns of Arcane Acuity, giving us a +1 to spell attack rolls and spell save DC. Reduce the duration by 2 every time the entity takes damage. So with this, we obviously don't want to get hit too much. It also gives us this very cool eye glow. But we can also proc this by using Booming Blade, which is pretty funny. So we got a critical miss there. We're hitting really hard because Shadow Blade is very powerful. So even if you don't have a Shadow Blade up, you're going to stack up the stacks of Arcane Acuity. Now, what makes this even more overpowered is one of the most popular subclass combinations in the game is using a Warlock alongside a Paladin. The Paladin smites, or any smite in general, will also trigger this. We also got ourselves this new spell here, Staggering Smite, and you can see it does a lot of damage. 48 plus 8 Psychic plus a 4d6 of Psychic, and potentially stagger the target. It can't take reactions, is more likely to miss. Now, what's absolutely nuts about this is when we go to do this attack, we got ourselves our Shadow Blade here. You also can grab in Act 2 the Resonance Stone. This will give all nearby creatures steeped in bliss, which gives them vulnerability to psychic damage. So everyone will take double psychic damage. That's why we were able to hit him twice and pretty much take him out. So this will probably one-shot Will. I'll just show you it. Because, yeah, it's very, very powerful. Bonk, 52, 28. And we created an Accursed Spectre. Or we created, yeah, that fungal zombie there. Is kind of funny. I'm not sure what really triggered that, but with this, we get a ton of stacks up as we continue to go through our turns, as you can do your normal weapon attacks. If you have the Shadow Blade equipped, you can do a Booming Blade to apply it as well, or you can do like your Divine Smites if you're a Paladin. But just regular old weapon attacks with this will trigger the Battlemage's power. Now, this can become actually quite crazy with a variety of different builds. As you probably know, some of the most powerful builds in the game revolve around multiclassing, like going with the Bard level 10 with the Paladin. As the Bard, you get magical secrets. You could easily take yourself the Shadow Blade, but there's also ways to make a permanent Shadow Blade as well. On top of that, you get the Paladin's Divine Smites, which are very high damage, and you can just use those to be able to take out and apply more stacks of your Arcane Acuity. Now, once we have 10 stacks of Arcane Acuity, spells like Hold Person and Command are very powerful because they're much less likely to miss. So some builds that can really take advantage of this. One of the most popular builds in the game is going the Sword Bard level 10, which gives you magical secrets, and you can get the very powerful Banishing Smite, adding force damage to our attacks. In addition to this, we could always go with the good old-fashioned Spirit Guardians, as our next level will be taking the Paladin, and there's actually something crazy with these two classes together. So adding in 2 levels of Paladin to 10 levels of Bard, we can apply and do a couple crazy things. So with Divine Smite, you can have it so that your Divine Smites are triggered whenever you do a critical hit. Just go to your Reactions tab here and make sure that you have your Divine Smite on, triggered on critical hit, and have it on every single thing here, so that whenever we do hit, we can apply. What's even crazier is we actually apply to double damage, or we do double stacks of our Arcane Acuity here. So we can actually do something pretty crazy if we got ourselves like a Slashing Flourish here, which will hit 2 enemies at once. What we can do is when we hit both our enemies here, we're not actually lining this up very well. I'm just try to hit 2 targets, we can actually apply and do a, I guess since they're not considered in combat, what we can do is when we hit 2 targets, apply the Divine Smite on reaction. We get ourselves a, basically it'll give us 4 stacks of our Arcane Acuity in one go. And you can actually couple this with the Helmet of Arcane Acuity, which will give you additional stacks every time that you do weapon attacks. It becomes very, very nuts very fast. So applying a Divine Smite on reaction here gives you extra. We'll just hit him there. So 6 stacks you can see of Arcane Acuity just for a single one of those. But if we're able to do a flourish, we're able to get the 4 stacks per turn. Yeah, that stacks up your Arcane Acuity very quickly. And what this even means is whenever we go to spellcast, you can see we got a plus 24 to our spell attacks and a spell save DC of 28. I didn't min-max this build at all. This just goes to show you like proficiency bonus, base DC, plus 5 from charisma, which we could take even higher from items, and then 1 from arcane enhancement, and then 10 from Arcane Acuity. You can get yourself upwards of a 35 spell save DC. Now, targets have pretty much like a 5% chance to resist that, so it becomes quite crazy at that point, just due to the amount of, you know, spells that you're going to be slinging. And on top of that, the Paladin gets Command, the Bard gets Hold Person, and if you want to go even a step further with the craziness here, the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. What you can do is you can go ahead there, do your Divine Smite, stack up your crazy stacks of Arcane Acuity without much worry. Typically, you would have to do Arrow of Many Targets to get this to stack up. And then when we do our command spell, it's only a bonus action that we have to cost. So this is quite nuts. We can do our 2 attacks, 2 Divine Smites, and by that time, you got max stacks of Arcane Acuity. Go ahead with a normal attack. Even furthermore, you can take a couple levels of the Hexblade Warlock, or even just a single level, because the Warlock will give you 1, Hexblade's Curse, but 2, Booming Blade, which is a cantrip that's going to give you stacks of Arcane Acuity as well. So this combined together becomes very powerful very quickly. The Hexblade being one of the newest subclasses and a very powerful dip, because not only do you get Wrathful Smite, so there's one smite that you can use at early levels to get that. We also get the Hexblade's Curse, and for cantrips, the ever powerful Eldritch Blast, but Booming Blade, which as I mentioned is a really strong spell, because with that you're able to stack up the Arcane Acuity again without having to do too much. It's not going to be as quick as the Divine Smite, but you're going to see here, even just going ahead with one of these, we have 4 stacks right now we have 8. So yeah, that is very powerful. And then we also got our bonus action abilities, so these 2 in combination become very strong. This also works on a few different spells. So if you got yourself a ranger, it'll apply to both the Ensnaring Strike melee or Ensnaring Strike range, because that's a spell that uses a weapon, and it also works on Hail of Thorns. So if we got our trusty Minsk here, so with this we can use our Hail of Thorns here, and this will actually give us some stacks of the Arcane Acuity there. So not a great hit chance there, but you can see we just got ourselves some stacks. Now we can also do an Ensnaring Strike on a melee attack here, and this is actually pretty useful on rangers, because you can see there we got multiple stacks of it there. So that not only ensnares targets, but that's combining both the Helmet of Arcane Acuity and the Gloves of Battlemage's power. So it sounds Battlemage doesn't really think, you wouldn't think ranger, but yeah, the ranger spells do work. So Hail of Thorns and Ensnaring Strike doesn't work properly if we use Conjure Barrage here, especially even on the melee version of it. It unfortunately doesn't actually give us the Arcane Acuity stack. So that is a little bit unfortunate, but it does work on all those other ones that I mentioned in this video, making it a pretty significant change to the game. Oh, we actually got it to stack there. That's kind of interesting. It wasn't working properly. This may just be due to the melee weapons there, but yeah, you can see there, I didn't get it on that. Yeah, it doesn't really seem to work properly on Conjure Barrage there. Like, we can go ahead and do it multiple times. They fail their saves. They still don't, it doesn't get these stacks built up there. It's kind of odd, but yeah, the Ensnaring Strike will work properly, so you can do Ensnaring Strike melee, get 4 stacks. So for rangers, that can work decently well. It's an option that's there. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on this because it's an item that I wish worked previously, but now that it works, it's absolutely crazy on bards, paladins, warlocks, and even rangers. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Gloves of the Battlemage's power. Hit the subscribe button too if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.